All right, hello, people of the internet. Welcome to the Mildly Ignorant podcast. My name is Isaiah.
And my name is Matt.
And this is the grand debut, the grand premiere of our podcast. The whole world, the whole podcast community, all the podcast enjoyers, all the podcast connoisseurs have been trembling, waiting for us to begin. They've years in the fucking making. Actually, more like a week at most.
3 or 4 days.
We are finally here with a podcast. I'm sure we're going to beat Joe Rogan instantly in a week with views and sponsors and stuff.
Oh, definitely.
Anyways, Matt, what is our podcast going to be about?
We're just two bros chilling in a hot tub. We're not in a hot tub. Talking about
This isn't Twitch.
life, luxuries, experiences, and shit we don't know about. That's basically it. It's just the two of us, sometimes other people, sometimes not, talking about things that we find interesting and things that we don't find interesting. So if that sounds good for you, you're more than welcome to join us.
And we're not going to fact check anything, so we might speak through our ass.
And you know what?
Like 9 times out of 10.
We don't really care if we're right or not, because we're mildly ignorant. We're not trying to offend you, but we just don't care.
Goddamn right. So anyways, Matt, we're gonna start with a little fun game. I think a little fun game, a little icebreaker activity, since we totally don't know each other for 5 years, so we got to get to know each other a little better. So.
Yeah, I just figured, what is the best way to get to know somebody and vibe with someone other than like hearing about the absolute worst experience that they've ever gone through? I think it's a great way to bring us all together and get us to really know each other on the inside. So,
Wow.
Did you want to go first, or did you want me to go first?
I think you should go first, Matt. It's yours. It's your ball.
Okay.
It's your game.
It's a little bit of a story. So it takes place a couple of years ago after I had finished my first year of university in psychology. I had no idea what I really wanted to do, so I ended up transferring to a different post-secondary institution to study English. And this was, do you remember a couple years ago when the city had like that sinkhole?
Oh my god. Fuck. Sorry. What?
Do you remember when the city had
Oh yeah,
the
the
sinkhole?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the sinkhole.
I was kind of seeing somebody at the time as well, and this all kind of blends together. So it was the first day of classes. I woke up at like 5 a.m. and I was ready to go at 6, and then my ride showed up at 7. So then we were there, and we were at the school by 8 o'clock, and I didn't have class until 11. So I was already like exhausted. It was the first day of classes. I didn't know anybody because I had just transferred, and I was like already super stressed out and super freaking out. So I waited 4 hours until 11 until my first class. So I sat in, and it was English literature was the first class I was taking. And within 20 minutes of just like sitting in this class and realizing, fuck, I don't want to be here. I like everything kind of hit me at once. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here. So I actually managed to sit through that class. I literally don't remember anything about it other than just sitting there looking around at everybody who was just like so like blasé about like writing and listening to the prof, and like I was literally having a panic attack. So I get out, I run out of the class like once it hits 1 o'clock, and I'm on the campus bawling my eyes out and freaking out. So I managed to actually bump into a friend who I wasn't that close with. It was like a friend of a friend, so just a mutual friend that I had met a couple years ago. And I remember just like seeing them, looking at them, and they recognized me. So we like looked at each other and walked towards each other, and then I just started crying at them. And it was so embarrassing and so humiliating, and I was just like in tears.
Pause.
Yeah.
Pause.
Yeah.
Why? I must have missed this, but why were you like bawling your eyes out over this one class?
Oh, just because like I didn't want to be there at all. Like I felt like I had just made a huge mistake, like transferring schools, and like I didn't want to be in this program. I didn't want to.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I didn't want to do any of it. So
the typical stresses of a post-secondary student.
Right, as soon as you get there, you're just like, you know what? Am I
Fucking
making the
kill me.
biggest mistake of my life? Yeah, I am. And I decided that I was making the biggest mistake of my life.
And you're paying 10 grand for that mistake too, huh?
Exactly. And I was gonna say I still didn't get that money back, but I did. I withdrew. But anyway, so I'm sitting on that bench, and then this person's like, "Okay, well, I have class. Like, I have to go." And I was like, "Okay, just leave me. I'll be fine." So I was sitting on this bench crying, and then the guy I was kind of seeing at the time, uh, I was like messaging him, and he's like, "Yeah, I think we should go on a break. Like, I'm kind of going through some things." And this just like made everything worse. So I call my dad and I'm just like, "Hey, where are you at? Can you come get me? I've just had a terrible day." And he's just like, I'm at work, but I'll meet you like here at this certain time." And I was like, "Okay." So I like pulled myself together. I was crying, and I went and I got on literally the first bus that I found that was going east. So I just like grabbed this bus and I started going, and then I realized I was like, I don't know where this bus is going at all. So after like a good 15 minutes, I get off this bus and I'm completely lost in the city. And at this point, my phone is at like, I think it was 6 or 7%. So my phone was dying. And it's like the middle of the afternoon. I want to say like 2 or 3 o'clock. So I'm walking and I'm just so frustrated and just so tired and exhausted that I just laid down on somebody's front lawn and I was like, "Okay, this is it. I'm just going to die here." Like the guy I was seeing doesn't want anything to do with me. I like fucked up my whole entire career with school, and I like my phone's dead. And that was the real kicker. So I was just laying on somebody's front yard, and then my dad calls me and it's just like, "Where are you? We were supposed to meet like 10 minutes ago." And I was like, "Well, I got on a bus. I don't know where I am." He's like, "What street are you on?" And then he came and picked me up, and like the story, it kind of just resolved itself. But like on the way home, I was just a sopping mess, and that was my first day of my second year of university. It was just a
And your last, I'm assuming?
Oh yeah, I dropped out like
Fucking
2 or 3
dropped out
days
instantly.
afterwards, and then I ended up taking that year off and just working full time. So it actually turned out to be really good because I feel like I did not. Well, I knew I didn't want to continue studying, so
You know you hit a real fucking low in your life when you're fucking starfishing on someone's front yard in the downtown area.
You just ever get so like tired and exhausted? I felt like a 7-year-old having a temper tantrum because like I wanted a nap, and
Except you're almost 30 and
hey, I was 20. I was like
at the time, sorry, yeah, my
21,
bad.
22 at the time, I think.
22 at a time. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's we young lad there.
And then the guy I was seeing, he ended up leaving me on my birthday to get back together with his ex. So
Wowie.
it just,
It goes full circle, doesn't it?
yeah, I guess. How about you? What was the worst experience of your life?
I don't think I can point to like a single day. I'll be honest. There's not a single, like, I've had bad days, but I don't think there's a day that like takes the cake over anything else. But like this one day when I was like not really young, but like probably like 6 or 8, one of the two. I was on a camping trip with my family, and basically like at a campground. So like the showers there are like not communal, but I guess you go to like specific building for showers and the restrooms or whatever.
Yeah.
So I went there. I went there to take a shower like on my own. I don't remember why. I think my mom just told me to get lost and go take a shower or whatever. I don't know. But anyways, I went to go take a shower. At the time, I only had this little wee lad over here had a iPod Touch, and it was my prized possession. So I brought it with me to the shower.
Oh no.
You might think that I destroyed it in the water. No, that's not what happened.
Okay.
Basically, when I went to take the shower, like there's like a shelf and like hooks just to put your shit on. But the shelf was like really, well, I guess it wasn't really high, but it was high for a little wee 8-year-old, 6-year-old. So I put my iPod up there. Like it was kind of out of sight, but I could reach, so I put it up there. And anyways, I took my shower and whatever, did what I had to do. Like, this is I think my first time taking my iPod. I don't know why I brought it with me, but I just didn't want to leave it behind, I guess. I don't know. So I brought it, left it on the shelf. It was out of sight now. So I did all my things, and just by habit, I just left because I never put anything on the top shelf whenever I took a shower there. So I left it there. I walk all the way back to, like, my trailer, which was like a 5-minute walk, and then I realized, I'm like, fuck, where's my iPod? I'm looking through my bag. I'm looking for my clothes. I can't find it. I'm like, God damn it, did I leave it in the shower? So I go back to the shower area, and basically it's like this building that's like in the middle of a field.
Yeah.
There's like a playground near it for some reason, like just a field on the left of it. Anyways, there's like this stereotypical, like, not to be offensive, but like trailer hick couple right there playing with their dog. And they come into the story because when I went to go check the shower, my iPod wasn't there anymore.
No.
So I was like, oh no. I was crying at that point. I'm like, little wee lad over here crying. He's gonna lose his prized possession, you know, his little iPod, you know, prime mobile gaming era with Angry Birds, Jetpack Joyride, fucking Doodle Jump, all that shit.
My
all my
God.
high scores
The old
would
app
be out
games.
the window. Yeah, all my high scores, all my progress would be out the window, and little wee Isaiah couldn't have that happen on his watch. So he started crying. The couple came to see me, and they're like, "Oh, what's wrong?" And I'm like crying. I'm like, "I left my iPod in the shower. I think I lost it. I thought I left it. I thought I brought it back to the trailer, but I guess I left it here because it's not in my bag." And they're like, "Oh, you're sure?" They're like, "Check your bags again." So I checked my bags. I couldn't find it. They're like, "What shower are you in?" I'm like, "This one." They went to look in the shower for me, and they couldn't find it. And they're like, "Are you sure you didn't try another shower?" I'm like, "No, there's only 3 showers there. I took the middle one. I'm not stupid. Like, I know I didn't take the left or the right one."
Yeah.
So they're like, "Okay, we'll check anyways. You're distraught right now. You might not be concentrating. You might be forgetting things." I'm like, "Fine, whatever. Do whatever the fuck you want." And they go check, and they obviously can't find it, right? So the guy's like, did you go to the washroom after? Like, maybe you brushed your teeth after taking a shower or whatnot?" "No." He's like, "Maybe go check at the back. Well, I'll go check the washrooms for you." And I'm like, "No, I didn't. I went straight back to the trailer. We have a sink in the trailer. I brushed my teeth there." And they're like, No. You might have forgotten." And so they go. Well, the guy goes to the restroom.
Yeah.
He's not even in there like 2 seconds. Like, he goes in, closes the door behind him, and he's literally instantly out with my iPod in his hands. And he's like, "Here you go. You left it near the sink in the washroom." He's like, "You just gotta be more careful next time. Someone might steal it from you." And I'm like, "You motherfucker!" You know, I was 6 or 8. I was gonna take on this fucking cocaine addict and this 400-pound wife. So I'm like, okay, well, it's time for me to go home. I was crying. I left. I dipped. I went to the trailer. Actually, no, I walked around for like a bit trying to stop crying so my mom wouldn't know what happened. So I wouldn't get my ass beat for leaving my iPod in the shower. But so that's that. I don't know. It's just one day that sticks with me, but it's probably. It's probably one of my worst days. But I don't know. There's nothing that really takes the cake. That was just like a specific bad moment in that day that scarred me for life because I almost lost my iPod.
iPod was stolen by a country bumpkin. At least you got it back, though. There's a happy resolution to that story.
Yeah, I got it back, and luckily, one of the only things my brother never broke when I had it.
Yeah.
My prized possession Game Boy broken.
Oh,
My prized
no.
possession PSP broken. Not even by my hands. All the time, caused by someone else.
I mean, that's just what it's like, because you're the oldest sibling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm the youngest, so I'm the one breaking shit on my brother.
You broke your older brother's shit all the time, huh?
I don't think so. I just knew that he was a terrible brother. He used to beat the shit out of me, and
that's what older brothers do.
yeah, exactly. So if I ended up breaking any of his shit, he probably deserved it.
Well, that's not nice. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have any specific bad days. Like, 2018 was a horrible year in general for me, but that's way too many stories to go over. But way too much shit happened in that year. That was a horrible year. But I don't have any specific days that I think that are my worst day. But that day really marked me the most, I guess, because I saw firsthand as a wee lad that thought the whole world was innocent how non-innocent the whole world can be.
Yeah.
And they were lying straight to my fucking face, too, on top of that.
Yeah, that's the worst part. God,
They were pretending to help, and then they give my iPod back because they actually felt bad that a 6-year-old was crying.
I mean, maybe somebody else like went to shower and then they saw your iPod and then they took it into the bathroom because like you'd be more likely to find it in the bathroom than you would like left in the shower.
No, this is like instantaneous. There's no way there's someone
Are you
would have
sure?
taken a shower. Yeah, and like the 5 minutes took me to walk to the trailer and back. Yeah,
God,
there's no way.
that is so terrible.
There's no way. They fucking took it. They fucking snagged it.
At least you got it back. At least they were like.
Yeah.
At least they felt guilt.
It was locked, so I'm not even sure if there's a way they would be able to like reset it. Probably at the time, like it was 10 years ago, so
yeah.
Probably there was a way to open it. It wasn't a phone, so it's not like it. Well, even then. But yeah, that's my sad story. My saddest day as a wee lad.
I mean,
young age of 6.
Yeah, that would really suck.
Yeah, but it is what it is. We're here now. I'm alive.
Imagine if you didn't get. Where would you be if you didn't get your iPod back? Probably still in chains. Your mother would never let you leave the house.
Probably, yeah. I'd probably never have an iPod ever again. But that one, I think I still have that iPod, like somewhere in my house. I still have that specific iPod in the same case that it was in 10 years ago.
Gross.
I probably even have the charger. I could probably turn it on and go see all the progress I made and all those classic games.
Upload your Angry Birds score. New high score.
Angry Birds score, Cut the Rope, Jetpack Joyride, Minecraft PE edition.
Was there Minecraft back then? Like for an iPad. I keep wanting to say iPod.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it came out then.
I don't know. When I imagine you as a child, I'm just like, yeah, I was still
never mind. It came out in 2011. Never mind.
Okay.
Pocket Edition came out in 2011. It was not out yet at the time of me losing my iPod. But anyways, speaking of video games, Matt, do you want to talk about a very controversial topic about video games?
Yeah. I heard, and I didn't read this article that we looked up about China banning gaming during the week.
For little kiddies.
Yeah, so China has banned online gamers under the age of 18 from playing on weekdays and limited their play to just 3 hours on most weekends.
Yeah, and it's only 1 hour a day between 8 and 9 p.m.
Yeah, so, like, that is... Like, on one hand, I'm like, that is insane, the amount of, like restriction that places on people. Like, is that, like, everybody in the country?
Yeah, all the kiddies under 18, all the wee lads that are under 18 years old.
On the other hand, at the same time, it's like, yes, that's exactly what we need, is, like, less fucking 12-year-olds playing COD. Like, can we be honest here?
Or just less Asian gamers in general, because then we're actually going to start winning things, huh?
Actually, that was one of the comments. Like, I somebody tweeted in response to the article, and I thought it was funny. They said, China doesn't have the future for esports then. It's impossible for teens to train, wrote a third Weibo user. Kids in other countries will win the world's championship at like 17 years old, while they'll just start to play the game at 18. And it's like, that's kind of a fucked up mentality to have. Like, why do you want, like, a 17-year-old who had already, like, devoted 10 years of their life to video games? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not training for the Olympics. And even then, like, that's a bit harsh for Olympians. Like, training kids from when they're, like, 4 or 5 years old to start, I don't know, playing CSGO or StarCraft or whatever is popular.
But I don't think, like, no one's forcing these kids to play these video games to become pro. Most of them are just doing it because they want to. Do you think the boomers understand esports?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, give boomers a reason to mistreat their children. They're going to take that opportunity. Like,
I feel like it's just, these kids see, like, this one team winning $1 million at a fucking esports like LOL or a WoW tourney, and then they think they can be the next big thing, and then they go down the rabbit hole of playing 12 hours a day.
Yeah, but I mean, like, not to sound old, but like, that's not healthy. But like, it's not. It's definitely not healthy, and it's not healthy like to have that mentality of like, I need to be a pro gamer.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
But also, like,
hey, you do you, but
I mean, these rules were implemented at the beginning of the new school semester, right? So,
and it's also an add-on to like I just saw here that in 2019, people under 18 were only allowed to play games for an hour and a half each day.
yeah, so they were already
So
limited.
yeah, but what I want to know is if it actually made a difference, since this has been going on since 2019. I don't know. I mean, China supervises or like has a stronghold on the internet a lot more than here, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if there's ways like to bypass it. Like, what happens if a 4-year-old boy has like a 18-year-old brother? Can you log into his account and then they're all set, or is China spying on them for their webcam? You know?
I mean, like, yeah, that's true. Like, I read one article, and it was like, is a 7-year-old different from a 17-year-old? Like, do they still have the same limitations? Because at that point, like, if you're 7 years old, like, you're basically still an iPad baby, I would figure. I don't know.
Well, I was just gonna say like to play devil's advocate. Like, I don't get it. Like, why you'd enforce this on a 16-year-old, but I would understand why they would force such a thing on like kiddies, like 4-year-olds and stuff like that. Even though it doesn't make it right there,
Yeah.
I understand. I at least understand why they do it for 4-year-olds, because I mean, I'm pretty sure it's scientifically proven that sticking your baby in front of a screen is not healthy for it at all.
Exactly. But also, I mean, how does this affect businesses, right? Because, like, if you think about it, how much, how much of a controversy that, like, online gaming and, like, the case of loot boxes and stuff like that, like, there's actually, like, revenue to be had by, like, profiting off kids and stuff. Like,
Well, see, that's already another problem on its own. Like, there's a reason why they're like people are pushing for like that gambling and loot box shit to be removed for kids, like in general, because it's not a good thing. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like, but it depends, because I know like the Asian market's a lot different than the North American market when it comes to video games.
yeah, and that's like us speaking from our like Western perspective of it. But also, I mean, like, how do you stop profiting off kids? Take the kids out of the market. Like, that's kind of ingenious, where you would never consider that as like a Western solution, right?
Yeah, but I don't think. Well, actually, Asia's fucking population numbers are fucking massive, so I wouldn't be surprised if they have the largest chunk. Like their demographic is the largest chunk of the young kids under 18 demographic that play video games.
Yeah. Well, I read in like one of these articles about China banning gaming that only like some of these companies like Tencent and another one said that only like 2.6% of their profits came from like a child demographic. I don't know what that means, or like where that number is coming from, or like if it's accurate or not, right? But it's, I mean, they're claiming that it's such a small percentage of their revenue was actually coming from like, children.
Yeah, I see it here now at 2.6%.
Yeah. But it's like how much of that
I mean,
is...
it probably makes sense because, like, not to be stereotypical, but like, I don't see an Asian kid stealing their mother's credit card like you would over here, you know?
True.
I don't think it's as common of a thing over there. So, unless they have their own money, like their own allowance or whatever, which I'm not even sure that's I'm pretty sure it's just a Western thing, having an allowance, but...
But also...
I don't think these kids are stealing their mother's credit cards or have their own credit cards to be buying thousands of dollars of loot boxes and Fortnite skins and...
Yeah, and I mean, does, like, banning kids... I mean, it kind of definitely gives the mentality that, like, gaming isn't something that you, like, need to put all this money into. Like, there's this Western idea of, like, being the best. So, like, including having the most skins for, like, games and weapons and stuff. Like, I'm really bad for it. I know that, like, if we're playing games, just like you and I'm like, oh, this is a really cool skin. Does it actually impact the game at all? No.
No,
But
and you spent $9 on it.
exactly, I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for aesthetics, but also I have the money. Like I know that I'm not like strapped for cash and like, oh, am I buying a new skin for Mercy or am I like eating this week? Is not something I need to worry about.
Yeah. But it's, like, that kind of comes back, like, how they're gonna enforce it, I guess. Because, I mean, realistically, there's only so much they can do to enforce it. I mean, Tencent just said that they're going to be introducing a requirement for gamers to do a facial recognition scan on their phone
Oh
to verify
yeah.
they're an adult.
Yeah, and I also read that like gamers, I'm not sure if this was China or in like South Korea, but they have to actually like register as like their actual name so that companies can look
Yeah.
them up and like look up their playtime. Like imagine like
Yeah.
trying to get a job at Subway and like the supervisor is like, "Oh,
You've been a naughty boy.
like
You've been playing 2 hours of video games every day.
you're only bronze league, like you're pathetic. You're not working here." That's how I would be if I was.
How many Vic Roys do you have? How many Victory Royales you got?
I mean, speaking of Victory Royale, that's funny because like in China, like Fortnite is completely different, right? Like they can only like
Yeah.
matches will only go on for 20 minutes, but like I mean I don't really play Fortnite. I know you made me buy it years ago and we like never touched it. But apparently like 20 minutes is just kind of like the beginning of a game. So
Mm, yeah, it depends. I mean, it depends, but yeah.
I mean, I guess like people who are good at Fortnite, it can.
Yeah, it's all tryhards now, so the game probably lasts like double the length
Yeah,
than it usually does.
but like in China, it's limited for 20 minutes. So if you're alive at the end of the game, which is like more than likely, you just get a
You're just
victory.
booted.
No, you just get a victory royale. Like it's considered a win if you just survive to the end of the
Wowie.
game. Like you don't even have to kill anybody. You can just survive, and you get.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it a reward? Is it a title? I don't like. You get a victory royale. Woo!
It probably makes sense because like those games have their own like dedicated region servers, so
Yeah.
99% of the time all the Asian players are going to be playing together, so I guess it makes it like their own game mode in a sense.
Yeah. Well,
You don't have to necessarily be the last one, but
it's also
it's
because
still kind of stupid.
because of the limitations. Like the games aren't allowed to last longer than 20 minutes. So like
Yeah.
what else would they do at the end? Just like cut everybody off and say no, you lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, I mean, they could do that and it'd be a way to force people to actually not like camp and whatever, but regardless.
but I mean like it's more so the game companies don't really have a say, right? Like they have to follow the rules of the country, which can impact
Well,
the
yeah,
gaming.
exactly, yeah. Like I said, I mean, there's probably like so many ways that China is like keeping track of this. Like we have no idea because we don't live there. So
Yeah.
as much as there's probably ways to cheese this, I feel like it's not. I don't think it's like a PR move. Like I don't know if this would happen here, I feel like it'd be just a PR move, and there'd be like they wouldn't like the government wouldn't actually look in to see if you were playing video games or not. But like over there, I feel like there's probably ways they can check and have been checking and will be checking.
Oh yeah, like for real, their like level of restrictions is not a joke. Like it's not
Yeah.
like a curfew. Like oh my god, you can't be out like past 6 o'clock. It's like nah. If you are out past 6 o'clock, like you will be taken, and no, like your family
Yeah.
will not see you again, like type of thing.
And I wonder too, like I think lots of this too has to do with the fact, like I know it's a bigger deal in Japan, but I'm sure China has the same issue where, like kids aren't interested in having a social life anymore. Like I know in Japan it's really bad where they like the mortality rate is higher than the birth rate there because no one's making babies, no one's making families, no one's dating anymore.
Yeah, because society
So,
is just fucked up.
Yeah, but I wonder if it's a way, like a really backwards way for them to make kids get out of their house, you know, like stop being basement dwellers and go
Maybe.
actually do things.
I mean, like I know.
I mean, there's better ways of doing it, but like I'm just saying, could be a way, just be a reason why they're trying to do this.
Yeah, like I know in China, it all boils down to like politics, right? It's like
Yeah.
if you control, like if you don't let your kids online, they have less of a chance to um, meet somebody who will like alter their political views or like educate them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's also the fact that like China is, as much as it's, I think it's a democracy technically speaking. Is it?
Technically, maybe.
Yeah, it's like it's a one party democracy basically,
Yeah.
and you can't really speak ill of them.
Yeah.
So like as much as like I saw that online too, lots of people were like, oh, why don't they just like protest this? And I'm like, yeah, you know nothing about China if you think these people can go out and protest this.
Right? I mean, like, there's the whole, what was it, Free Hong Kong, or the just like,
Oh yeah, the Free Hong Kong thing, yeah. Well, they actually protested, and well, that turned out
well, I mean, people are still
not.
protesting and they're still like
Yeah,
being silenced. Like, it's not one of the, it's not,
yeah.
it's not like the US where you can just go and, what's the word I'm looking for? Like picket fences and signs. Protest. Wow. It's not a country where you can just go and freely protest. Like, you do not have the right to, I don't want to say like free speech, but I mean, I guess so. Like,
Yeah.
you can't
I mean,
outright say some things in public. Like, it's
yeah.
not.
And I mean, lots of it's governmental, but lots of it's just like society norms over there are a lot different than over here. Like, just for example, like tattoos aren't necessarily bad, but like it's not a common thing over in Asia or at least in Japan.
Yeah.
So like if you have a tattoo, you're basically gang or yakuza, but that's not like government saying that. That's just societal norms are different over there.
Yeah. Yeah, Japan has some, for a country that I want to say like is such a leading like inspiration in terms of technology and innovation. I mean, it's like every country. They have their own like um,
Yeah.
conservative views that are like I never would have expected that coming from you, you know? Like
Yeah. But I mean, like lots of it, like I know in the case of Japan too, lots of it's more like there's lots of like respect for others going on. Like
oh yeah.
lots of like your focus is to respect everyone around you basically. It's like I'm sure you've seen it on TikTok or shit like that where it's like you can leave shit out on the road or leave shit out in your table at a restaurant and no one's gonna steal it. You know,
Yeah.
like it's has its pros and cons, I guess. Where it like from our point of view, it looks very weird, like very conservative, but like from their point of view, it's just a matter of like respect, I guess, because
Yeah.
tattoos to them are offensive
Yeah.
in a certain way.
Well, I mean, it's like I guess they imagine tattoos like we would imagine like face tattoos, right? Like kind of like
Yeah,
the worst degenerates of society have them. And it's just something it's one of those things that like you need to experience that like in order to change your mind. Like you can say you're a good person and like I'm not racist, I'm not sexist, I'm not homophobic, but until you like interact like with women, with people of color or with LGBTQ individuals, like you don't know what they go through, what they experience and how you really feel about them. And I just think it's the same thing where you need to be exposed to something in order for it to be like normalized and for you to recognize it as something that isn't taboo.
so what you're telling me is that I can get cum slut tattooed on my bottom lip.
On your like in your lip, so like when you like pull your lip down,
Yeah,
this is cum slut.
and backwards too, just to make it even worse.
like inverted specifically for
Yeah,
pictures.
so I can.
So like you could just take a selfie and no one else understands what this marking is under your lip.
Or only so I can read it. If I pull my lip out far enough and I can see my bottom lip.
I saw this one YouTuber in like regarding the whole like respect everyone around you thing. I saw this YouTuber who he was living in the UK and then he moved to Japan where he's been for a couple years. And yeah, like the whole point of their what's the term I'm looking for? They're like their vibe, I'm just gonna say vibe for lack of a better term, is to like cause as little disturbance to other people's lives. So like if you're on the train, you're like talking on the phone is like a big
Oh yeah,
no-no, and
yeah.
like just
God
like
forbid your phone goes off. Yeah.
yeah, you just like you sit quietly and take up as little space as you can, and you like
Yeah.
you're early, you're like you're never late. And then a bunch of people commented like, I could never live in Japan. Like,
Goddamn, what I wish that would happen in our goddamn train
oh
system.
my
Holy
god,
shit.
right?
It would be beautiful.
But like just imagine having like the audacity to just be like, I could never live there. Like what? Common decency towards other people? That is just too much for me.
I mean, just people are just so stuck in their ways. Like, they forget that, like, if they were Japanese and they were looking at a Western point of view, they'd find us weird. It's just a matter of how you were raised.
Yeah.
There's no, maybe there is objectively to a certain extent a right and wrong way of doing things, but like, lots of time it's just different
It's
ways
just
of viewing.
culturally. Yeah.
Yeah. But speaking of culture and societal norms, let's talk about China also banning femboys, huh? What about that,
Okay,
huh?
so China.
All those K-pop bands are
Yeah.
done for.
So China.
No more K-pop bands.
China bans effeminate men from TV as part of a cultural crackdown is the name of the article we're looking at. If anyone wants to follow along. So basically, the article goes on to state that China is banning any effeminate men. It called for a ban, asking instead that revolutionary culture be touted. So previously, the regime, I like how this article uses the term regime, has expressed official concerns and cracked down on youth online gaming, which we already talked about, boy band culture, gambling, cryptocurrency, and sports. The moves are part of discouraging what it sees as an unhealthy attention to celebrities and certain distracting activities.
And I would just like to point another quote that I find hilarious from this article that I'm reading. I don't know if it's the same as yours, but broadcasters must, in quotations, resolutely I can't speak. Put an end to sissy men and other abnormal aesthetics, the TV regulator said, using an insulting slang term for effeminate men, nyang pao. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, or literally girly guns.
Oh my god.
So no more sissy men, no more femboys on our TV.
I just think, like, because we've seen a big trend in effeminate men, and, like, femboys have become extremely popular. Like, especially on TikTok, I find it weird. And I think, like, over the last 2 years with the pandemic, that, like, people... I think this...
Like, basically...
It stems from people being able to have conversations with themselves about, like, gender and about how it's a social construct. And I think it's a good thing that we're having these conversations. Like, how many people realized in the pandemic that, like, hey, maybe I'm not cisgender and I fall on some kind of spectrum that doesn't really fit the binary of gender? Or, like, how many people are finding out that they're bi-curious, or that they're not as completely as heterosexual as they originally thought they were, because it's been like a really big upheaval of like, hey, I'm a boy wearing a skirt and I'm still hot, and like you can find me hot, there's nothing wrong with that. And people are just like, especially boomers, they completely reject this idea. And like, I mean, China's banning effeminate men from TV. So, I mean, like, it's kind of scary how, one, inherently misogynistic it all is. It's, like, still upholding these, like, gender norms that, like, men are supposed to behave one way and women are supposed to behave another way. And, like, there's no, like, in between, and there's no crossing over, which is just ridiculous. And like the misogyny just like lends itself to like being transphobic and like these crazy ideas like revolutionary culture. I think it's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is stupid. I mean, I was trying to look up what their most famous boy band is in China.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Fighting Boys is what comes up as China's equivalent of
Like BTS?
BTS. That's the word I was looking for. I can't find their net worth, but I'm assuming if it's high enough, they will definitely drop this like law in like a few months.
Yeah, that's the
guaranteed.
thing. Is like
they're gonna be losing so much money.
exactly. There's profit to be made in just like.
I mean, they don't dress very feminine. Like, I mean, they dress like, but still, I mean.
What did you say their
their
name was? The Fight Boys?
The Fighting Boys. The Fighting Boys, yeah. Like, look them up. Like, if you look them up, they don't look like they dress that feminine. I wouldn't say at least, but I mean, like, whatever standards they have, I have no idea what standard. And that's another thing. Like, what is our standards? Like, what do they consider feminine or not? Like, can you wear pink? Are you allowed to wear pink? Are you allowed to wear purple? Like, how far does it go? You know?
Yeah. Is it the style, or is it literally like specific colors and like patterns?
If your hair's past your ears, like, are you girly girl now? Like, I don't like what's their standard is the weird part.
Well, I mean, look at this, like the standard of masculinity compared to, I want to say, just like the U.S. and like South Korea, like because like K-pop is extremely massive, right? And
Yeah,
like, are they considered effeminate in South Korea? I just don't know.
yeah. And I'm trying to see. Yeah, I can't find their net worth anywhere, but I'm assuming they're pretty big. So yeah, we'll see how long it lasts. I'm sure they're gonna lose lots of money if this includes these people.
I mean, like I said earlier, there's a profit to be made. Like, people love pretty people. Like, whether they're boys or girls, and boys dressing like girls or girls dressing like boys. Like, there's money to be made. There's culture to be had, and I don't understand this concept of like shutting it all down because it's like taboo. Like, that's so stupid. Like, what does it matter what other people think and what other people do?
Yeah, it's weird. It gets into the territory of like, well, it is censorship. It straight up is censorship.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why I was trying to word my sentence that way. I realized it definitely is censorship, but like, if you don't like it, you don't have to click on it. That's what I find so weird, especially with the internet. Like, the internet's so vast that if you don't like femboys aren't your thing, you don't have to click on it.
Like,
you know, it's as simple as
yeah,
that.
if you don't like femboys, stop subscribing to their OnlyFans. Like, stop looking them up on Twitter.
You.
Like, that
There's
just
nothing stopping you.
that just like all of these like
I don't believe in censoring. Well, there's some things that should be censored, obviously, but like lots of things
like
that are censored shouldn't be censored because you can just ignore it. Just ignore it. Move on.
yeah.
It's not that hard.
When I think of censorship, like, I think of safety. Like, you don't want to expose people to like violence and like abuse and like
Well,
think
yeah,
of
like kitty porn stuff
yeah,
like that.
exactly, and think of like graphic imagery, like acts of terrorism or stuff like that.
But like, as much as we're in denial, like, or as much as we don't like it, like, for example, I don't think it's right to censor, all the morons right now that are doing the anti-mask, anti-COVID stuff. As long as they're not endangering the life of others, that's when it crosses that line. But like, them in their own little group chats on Facebook talking about shit, it's whatever. But when they start like pushing it onto other people and starting to do weird drugs, which we're going to talk about in a bit, that's when it crosses the line of, okay, you're endangering the lives of others. Okay, stick back to your little conspiracy theorist dark web website.
Well,
stay there, please.
Well, that's just it. Like, this, like, conservative ideals quickly, and I'm going to say like less conservative ideas, like more liberal ideas too, also lead themselves quickly to what's the term I'm looking for? Not revolutionizing people, but like getting people fired up to a dangerous amount, right? Like, if you give someone a voice and a platform, they can cause a lot of damage if they're what's the word? It starts with a C. Like, if they're charming enough, if they're charismatic enough,
confident.
Yeah, if they're confident
yeah.
and charismatic, you can have a lot of people listen to you.
Well, yeah, you can sell anything as long as you're charismatic and confident.
Which is kind of scary. Like, I mean, look what happened with the insurrection in January. Like,
yeah,
you give people a platform and they will act.
Yep.
But I mean, like, you can't just ban every boy in a skirt. Like, that's like what? Like, I just don't understand how those two things.
And I wonder if there's like ways. Well, no, never mind. I was gonna say like we can. There's definitely like ways around. Well, no, never mind. It would be like you'd have to like kind of lie in a sense. So never mind.
What do you mean? No. Elaborate.
I was gonna say there's ways you could cheese it. Like just say, oh, I do not identify as a man anymore. But that's if that's who you are. If you still want to identify as a man, then I'm just saying for the sake of like bypassing this law, just lying to the government and then just assume and just pretending like and just keep going on as a male or men in your everyday life, but to the government just lie to them.
True.
And say, oh no, yeah, I'm totally a woman.
But I mean, like, that's the thing. It's like, why are you, like, why is it to that extent where like because like what you're basically saying sounds like banning transgender people. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, that's not okay. Like, queer people exist and they're going to continue existing.
And what about the other way around? Like, what happened? I know it's probably not as a big community or as popular. Well, I'm sure it is, but maybe not in the mainstream, like celebrity wise. But like, women dressing as men, or acting more masculine, quote unquote.
I think it's
China. There's no ban on that, it seems, from China, but I don't know how big of a thing that is over there. Because I mean,
yeah. Well, again, it kind of boils down to the fact that it is like based in misogyny. The fact that
yeah,
like
exactly, yeah.
women dressing as men isn't as taboo or as like terrible a concept because they're trying to look like men and men are like the superior ones, right? Whereas
Well, yeah,
like
exactly, and I think that's why, like, I don't know, like for me when I was a wee young lad, like it was normal to see, like, what's the term we always like,
butch
like tomboys.
Tom, okay, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know, like I've like when I was young, I always saw like more women trying to be masculine than the other way around because of I guess like again societal norms.
Yeah. Yeah, but also it's kind of like a double-edged sword. What I'm about to say is like society has more leeway for women. I don't want to say like getting away with things, but on the other hand, like women are inherently in a lot more danger. So I don't really know like what my point is. Like, I know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know how to say it in the sense that like women can dress like men and it isn't as highly criticized, and women can love other women. And even with like seeing it on kids shows and stuff like that, like there's a lot more sapphic relationships than there are of male represented queer relationships. Like it's
Yeah,
like shows like The Legend of Korra and Steven Universe were doing it before you had shows like Love, Simon. Like you could argue that Love, Simon has a larger platform, but like Korra and Asami being lesbians was like, sorry, by being in a sapphic relationship happened. I want to say like 10 years ago, like maybe 2011. Like, whereas how much longer did it take for Love, Simon to come out, and how much longer did it take for male queer representation to show up in the media? It's just more accepted that women kind of get that, but men don't, because it's seen as feminine when men do it, which is a problem, you know?
mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like it's at the end of the day, it's gonna be like every other social movement in a sense where there's going to be speed bumps, and this is just like one of them.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be one of many. But I'm sure, like, I mean, I can't be sure, but the way, like, especially in the Western world, like here, the way it's slowly starting to be accepted, I'm sure within years it's going to be not the new norm, obviously, but like accepted.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, I feel like, a generational thing, like getting back to it. So it's, and like coming back to this whole China banning things, it's like, it sounds a lot like the conversation that we commonly hear of like boomers versus Gen Z, right? Like it's like,
Yeah.
from what we
But
experience, it seems like Gen Z is a lot more open. And then I don't want to say like China's boomer government cracks down on like Gen Z, but like there are similarities to be seen there.
yeah. But I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, we can't just like, it's gonna be the same thing in 20, 30 years from now. Like my dad says that all the time, like how, you know, he'll never understand our generation, and we're never gonna understand the generation that comes after us, right?
Yeah.
It's always like, we're always gonna say, oh, ew, this generation's weird. Oh, ew, this generation's doing things differently. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this.
Yeah.
There's always gonna be a divide between generations. You can't help it, just because like the way the norms change and stuff like that.
I also think it's because like the generation like inherits the power and influence of the previous generation.
Yeah.
And it's like no young generation, every young generation grows up resenting the old generation until they're handed like that position of CEO, right? Like until,
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And it won't change. Like, as much as we think, and we probably are more accepting this generation than the next, I'm guaranteeing in 20 years we're going to be the boomers, and the next generation they're going to be the young zoomers that we don't understand, you know?
Yeah.
It's just it's a repetitive cycle. As much as you want to be accepting, I'm sure we're going to find things that to disagree on, because it's just a generational thing.
I'm already like in my late 20-something years old, and I already don't know a lot of like what the hell Gen Z is talking about most of the time. Like, I'm along for the ride and I'm like enjoying it, but it's like,
come on, Matt, normalize breathing.
Normalize people giving off vibes that like you don't like and you don't agree with. Normalize disliking people is what
Like,
you're trying to say.
Like, like, do you never have like secondhand happiness for someone, Matt? Like, come on, normalize that.
No, I've never felt happy for anybody else or myself. I don't know what that is. Happiness. I don't know
You
her.
have no empathy.
What is that? All I get are vibes. I don't. Empathy?
But yeah,
Emotional intelligence? What is that? Who is she?
But yeah, we're almost hitting that hour mark, Matt. So I think we need to go on to that last topic.
Alrighty.
Last little topic I think we decided on.
So enough horsing around.
Oh, this is all about horsing around.
So we've decided to look at how humans are appropriating horse culture by taking all their drugs.
And accessories.
And accessories. Oh, yeah. Whip me. I'm just thinking of
They're horsing
cupcake.
around, monkeying around.
So we first looked at like why a lot of conservative right-wing individuals are taking horse dewormer to try to cure themselves of a certain respiratory illness that you may know and despise as COVID. Why are people taking like horse dewormer instead of just
And I'll
getting
play devil's
vaccinated?
advocate,
Go ahead.
because there's two sides to this coin.
Yes.
Why are the Zoomers, the left-wing people, taking horse tranquilizer and horse anesthetic as a drug to get high on?
Fair.
It's two sides of the same coin, and I don't understand why it's happening.
Humans be horsing around. It's just messed up. So What are we going to look at first? Are we going to look at ketamine, or do we want to talk about
Well, I mean,
ivermectin?
as the young scientist to be that I am, I can kind of give a backstory to why ivermectin, I think that's how it's pronounced, is used by these nutheads, conspiracy nutheads.
Yes.
Basically, I remember seeing this article. That's why the name was familiar to me when I saw the article like a few days ago about boomers taking this drug. I remember this because Australia released an article like back when they were first trying to find a vaccine.
Yes.
Like they were trying to find different ways of looking at it. And scientists used this drug and found that it could slow the reproduction of the virus in your body. But they didn't approve it because you would need an insane amount of horse drug to get the job done.
Yeah. So
and then there's that, and then Egypt, researchers in Egypt, this has been redacted now, but it was actually cited tons of times and viewed 150,000 times, this article, apparently, that ivermectin also reduced COVID-19 deaths. But then it was withdrawn because plagiarism, apparently, and there's anomalies in the statistical analysis.
sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to take this moment to say that, like, you and I are not scientists. We are not doctors. We are literally just reading articles on the internet like anybody else, and just kind of stopping for a second and saying, okay, let's apply some critical thinking. Like, we're not gonna try to persuade people either way. I mean, you're studying science, but you're not a doctor. Like, you don't know
not yet
about like why veterinary clinics are using these drugs for animals, and then humans have decided to. So we're just like, let's just put that out there and say,
I think you need a psychologist to figure that out, not a not as like a biologist or a chemist.
Exactly. So ivermectin, I don't know, but I do know that it was used to treat parasite infestations. So, like, in humans, it was used to cure like head lice and scabies and river blindness. I don't even know what that is. A bunch of other like parasite names that I can't even pronounce. But in like veterinary medicine, it is used to prevent and treat heartworm and acariasis, among other indications in animals. So I just find it funny that some of the side effects are like diarrhea or constipation. Like, either you're shitting your asshole out or you're never going to poop again.
Yeah.
Among with like common side effects like headaches, lower appetite, tenderness in your neck, armpit, or groin. So, like, you know, the 3 fetish areas. I don't know. Humans will really just do anything. Like, there's
like not even on this side of the coin. Like, I still like, if we flip it, just to not be to remove all bias. We're not here just to shit on the conspiracy theorists here, but like these Zoomers over here taking a drug that is infinitely times more concentrated than it has to be for a human.
Yeah.
Taking like a pint size of it and still overdosing. I'm talking about fentanyl and probably ketamine to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Just to get a high. But I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, we're also the generation that drinks cough syrup and Purell for fun. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that this is happening. But
I mean, just pop some fentanyl in a Tide Pod and I'm good to go.
And the sad thing too is that the fentanyl thing is a bigger issue, I think, than a few redneck hicks taking ivermectin in their basement. You know,
well, I think
like fentanyl is a fucking worldwide crisis.
Yeah,
right now.
I think the difference is that, like, when it comes to taking horse dewormer, people should...
You're doing it voluntarily.
Yeah,
Fentanyl
exactly.
is, like,
People should know better.
half the time.
And then, like, in case of fentanyl and ketamine, it's like young people who don't know better, who don't know the, like, devastating effects that getting addicted to these drugs can take.
I don't know if that's a good enough excuse, because I mean, I feel like at 18 you should know that ketamine or fentanyl is not good for you. I think you should have at least that mental capacity. Like, you may not know how bad it is, but you should know that no drugs are really good for you.
Yeah, but
At least street drugs.
when it comes to fentanyl, it's like morphine, right? Like it was used originally, its original use was to treat patients with severe pain. But the problem is you easily develop a tolerance to drugs like morphine and fentanyl. So then in order to get that high again, you need more. And like the thing about fentanyl is that it's extremely, and like opioids in general, they're extremely addictive to the point where even if you do it once or twice, like you're hooked. Which is really scary to think about, because just imagine like you're just out with your friends having a couple drinks and like your buddy's like, here, you want to try this? It'll get you fucked up. And you're like, oh yeah, like I'm down for a good time. But then you like the next thing you know is you literally
You wake up in a hospital bed?
Well, that, yeah, if it was laced with something. Or like you just find yourself unable to think about anything except feeling good and like trying to get your next hit.
Yeah. And I don't know, like to go back to like the ivermectin or whatever the fuck it is. Like it blows my mind that they would rather try this than get the vaccine.
Yeah.
Like I kind of understand their point of view. Like they think the government's been lying, so they're gonna try and go for the one drug that slipped beneath the radar, that was removed from scientific articles because the government's trying to censor it. You know, like it feeds into what they believe in. So I understand why they used it. They're like, oh my god, they removed this article from Nature, so it must mean that they're hiding the real
hiding
cure. We
something.
gotta take it. But it was just removed because the stats were fucked up in the article. I don't even know how I made it past peer review.
Right? It was one of those like this should have never made it to the public in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I understand why they're taking it. Doesn't mean it's right. Don't take it.
Yeah, but
please don't.
But I think the idea there is like, oh, the government's lying to us. Like we need to like bootstrap this ourselves and like find our own cure. That's
well, what was the drug before this? That super long name that fucking Trump wanted it. Everyone started taking.
Wasn't that the one that was like a fertilizer?
I have no idea, but it's in Eminem's new song. That's all I know.
Well, I mean,
fuck, what is it? I want to look it up now. I'm pissed off.
My idea is look at the people who are getting vaccinated. That includes
hydrochloroquine. There you go.
It includes the people who are like wealthy and rich and like who are successful. Why would the government give these vaccines to the wealthy, successful people? Like, you think if there was really something wrong and something to worry about, they would just give it to
but see,
like the broke poor people or like
that
the
argument
immigrants.
has no grounds, Matt, because they're just gonna say that they faked it. It's a PR stunt. It was a syringe full of water. That's what they're all gonna say.
That's so stupid. That is, I think that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, but you can't win, Matt. You can't win. Don't use logic to win.
Listen,
you won't win.
I took all of the vaccines. I got double dosed with all of them, and I still
2 Moderna, 2 Pfizer, 2 Johnson & Johnson, 2.
I have so much armor, and I can move so many things with my mind now. I just think I recommend this for everyone.
You're Magneto now?
Yeah.
Like that lady that said you could be magnetic because of the vaccine?
Exactly. I don't know.
But anyways, I want to bring up a little small topic before we end the podcast. It's been an hour now. It's been a good old hour. Ended on a light note because this episode's been real intense thinking, real societal thoughts, and it feels like a goddamn sociology lecture almost.
Yeah, but that's what's fun about it.
Yeah, but let's end on a light note here. Let's talk about horsing around, but with horse apparel.
Oh my god.
Want to talk about whips? Want to talk about
BDSM?
Is this a sex podcast, Matt?
I mean, I'll try anything once.
Why is there a horse fetish? That's what I want to know.
Now, what do you mean by horse fetish?
Like the people that are horses, like they act as horses and Usually it's like, I won't say everyone, but generally speaking, it's men and then women dominating them with whips, and men are horses.
I mean, I don't know why horses specifically, but like people want what they can't have. So like it's those rich ass anonymous billionaires who like they want to be dominated.
Oh, you can definitely find horse fetish videos on YouTube.
Oh no, I know, but like I mean like the people who are into this kind of thing is like the complete polar opposite of who they are in their day-to-day life. Like their sexual fantasies are like a complete 180 as to how they normally live. I can almost guarantee that, right? Like,
and no kink shaming on this podcast. You be you, but I still want to figure out why.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to open up with my own like feelings when it comes to like kinks and stuff like that. But like, there's a certain power in like reclaiming feeling
nature.
Well,
being one with nature.
I mean, acting like an animal. I don't understand that, but like, in terms of like being submissive to someone and like getting whipped and stuff like that, I can understand. Like, I can understand why it's a little exciting. But like, yeah, the whole animal play thing isn't my cup of tea. I don't quite understand that.
It just ain't for us, I guess. Hey, if you're watching and or listening, I guess, and you're a horse impersonator enthusiast, explain to us, please.
Yeah, call in. We'll bring you on. We'll bring you on the pod and we'll hear your stories. We won't.
Matt, give your personal cell phone number.
Yeah, just
say it right now.
Send us a message and I'll have our people, which is just us, get in contact with your people, who is hopefully just you.
Yeah, we have a big team here, a big podcast team. This is 100% professional. You probably heard 25 background noises by now, but goddamn.
Yeah, we're going to fire whoever is in charge of our studio. We don't have
But don't worry, it's just the first episode. We'll get better with time. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah, this is something that
we've been talking about for a long time, 4 days.
I mean, I've always wanted to do a podcast, but I just feel like it's very self-indulgent.
And that's why we'll never talk about us. Although we just did in the first 10 minutes of this fucking show.
Well, I mean, people got to know who we are.
Yeah, yeah. So, I think we'll wrap here, don't you think, Matt? It's been an hour, so
that's
I think it's good to wrap.
Pretty good.
Yeah, so thank you for tuning in, listening all the way to the end. If you did, you wouldn't be hearing this if you didn't. But new episode weekly, hopefully.
We'll do our best.
We'll be consistent.
Exactly.
We'll be consistent.
Yes.
We're going to do an episode weekly. We don't know when this is going up, actually, so we can't even let you know when they'll go up.
True.
So
until we get
maybe near the end of the week.
Yeah, until we get into the swing of things, keep your ears peeled and your eyes open. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends if you've enjoyed it.
This isn't a YouTube video.
I mean, it's the same thing.
But we'll be on YouTube. We'll be on SoundCloud. We'll be on Spotify. We'll be on Apple Podcasts. We'll be on a bunch of other podcast sites we never heard of in our entire lives, but you can maybe find us on there.
We'll be wherever you are, waiting with open arms.
And you can follow us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Yes, we're boomers. We still use Facebook.
And we are the Mildly Ignorant Podcast. And this was our first episode. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. Bye-bye, everybody.